Good morning, welcome to the Goju Ryu Karate Center. And this morning, a little bit of a tour of our dojo. So I'm going to grab the phone from Zoe and we're going to flip it around and you can see what it's like. This is us in our early morning.
I know.
Oh yes. So our gates are open. And we've got our big Japanese torii gate and our dojo signage. And here we go. Tour up to the dojo. And here we go. Let's just put the shoes in the right place. It's the male bathroom. Benches for people to sit. Our dojo's kind of history and our origins and who is very important to us. A photo of Miyazato Sensei.
Tell the people.
A piece of paper from Japan that's very important. A piece of paper from the university that's very important. Some very beautiful writings from another expedition and another trip. Ladies' bathroom. Another bench to sit. Dojo tatami. Obviously, everybody wants to know where our mats went while they're sitting in reception. We have a few notice boards as we go through. And then, crossing the threshold, leaving South Africa, welcome to our little bit of Okinawa, our little bit of Japan. So, big shout out to Sensei Terry in the United States. He asked if we could do a bit of a tour of our dojo. So our dojo, as you come through the doors, we have 4 punch bags, 2 very heavy, 2 light that are hung. We have a fat mat, which we sometimes use during the colder winter months where we maybe do some judo or some throwing. It just provides people with the safety of landing. We have got, at the moment in the dojo, I think 6 Kongokens. Those are these big steel rings. We've got makiwara. At the moment, there are 4 posted makiwara. And we've got a little stretch board. We've got lots of small bags, which we use for groundwork. Some lollipops. Another mannequin dummy. Some boards that need to be changed out with our dojo kun. Another mannequin. The back door of the dojo, some lighting equipment, combat ropes. Body protector from the early days of South African Goju fighting, where it was more full contact than it was semi-contact. A bit of an administration corner or shelving. The ever so important first aid kit and AED, and it's quite a biggie. I think Zoe wants to just hold it up. Yeah, we take this seriously, and then lots of sledgehammers. Something that we're trying out at the moment, something called a power ball or a magical wrist ball. And these funny wheel balls, we're using them to try to see if we can get the kids to strengthen their wrists. Working dojo. Some miniature sandbags filled with what we call samp in South Africa. It's like a maize kernel. think it's very similar to what the Americans might call grits. It's in its dry form. So these I use for my movement education classes, some old-fashioned medicine balls, lots of sledgehammers. We're going to look at the front of the dojo. Most people get to see this and wonder what all is there. The two pictures were part of the original dojo merchandise from my first sensei, Paul Andre, as well as a whole bunch of the equipment that's in the dojo that came from, I think it's Bill Tuff, when he came back from the United States in the 1980s, when he was going to go and do training and tournaments and things like that. So we've managed to hold on to equipment for a long time. We've got a lot of chishis. I saw somebody posted something about getting somebody to weld. My friend who has the dojo down the road has lots of chishis as well. His father had a shop where they did welding, so they welded steel handles. I like the feel of wood. I think it's a little bit nicer on the hands. And I like playing with the lathe. So we've got wooden handles. We've got some really, really big chunkers. We've got some steel balls and double-handed shishis and big steel weights that came from Sensei Brahm Piens. There's a Sensei Brahm chishi. I'll get to them just now. Lots of kettlebells. On this side, we go up to 32 kilograms. Got some flat ishisashi, but only singles. More shelving space. Foam impact pads that we can use. Foam rollers. Up in the back there, some Kabuto equipment out of reach. We have a 3-year-old. Our very disorganized bow rack. Some real karma from Okinawa. More equipment. Lots more equipment. TerraBands. The chicken. The very, very important chicken. We do a lot of vector testing or bearing testing for the kids. Skateboards. We use those as ways to train both children and adults. Lots more kettlebells, and in this side we have kettlebells, and then we've also got lots of dumbbells. We've got some with plates, like the plate weights without, that are cutouts rather than solid plate weights. Merchandise, gis and belts, some balls for the little ones to play with. We've got a whole box filled with inflatable little dummies. They stand about 2.5 foot. Those are really, really important. And then some more weights and paddles. The very, very important kick paddles or impact paddles. Okay, so what we have here is a Kongoken. It's not the perfect shape. This one tends to be a little bit flat, and the history of this particular Kongoken and the other 4 that are a little bit more square, they were left in my care, something as a custodian of equipment from a karate instructor who had inherited them from his sensei who had a dojo down the way. So if there are people out there who recognize these, chances are that you come from a dojo either on the East Strand or towards Bedford View or Four Ways. These would have been in your dojo. So these were left in my care by a man called Sensei Rob Geyer, and he would come and train in the morning in the dojo, and when he left Johannesburg, he said to me, please look after them, use them, keep them going. So designed and developed by Miyagi Sensei after a trip to Hawaii, where he saw sailors working with the links on the anchors and using them to help improve their ability to wrestle, which immediately makes you think, why do you see so much stand-up fighting and not so much wrestling? And the simple factor is that somewhere along the line, we kind of lost touch with it. But Goju, by its very nature, has got stand-up, close-in clinching, as well as wrestling-type techniques and wrestling fighting. And the Kongoken is to help us improve our strength as we go along. So probably my favorite kind of exercise would be to rotate. I'm not dropping into shikodachi just yet, just so that you can see what's going on. Normally it's done with a person rolling the Kongoken this way, or it could be two people holding the Kongoken and rolling it around. Obviously, there are exercises where you receive and push, receive and push, receive and push. Exercises where you pick it up, move, pass, come across, receive, pass. So like playing pass the basketball, something like this. And then obviously the shoulder press or military press is a very common exercise used with the Kongoken. A lot of people struggle to get metal ones, so I know that there are ideas for making them out of plastic piping and filling it with either cement or with sand so that it develops the right weight. Approximate height is, I would say, 5 foot, maybe a little bit 5.5 feet. And being non-Japanese, being a little bit taller, being 5'10", the closer it is to my height, the better. Weight, approximately half of what I would weigh, so 75 kilograms. The ideal is about 35 to 40 kilograms. So you're working with half your weight. Interesting, if it's on the ground, then depending on where you're positioned, the weight is from like 10% to 50% of the real weight. So it's a great tool. It's fantastic. There are also exercises like deadlifts. There are exercises to condition. So you'll see people, this is going to kill me, but okay. You see people spinning it around and hitting the arms and conditioning the shoulders and the arms with the Kongoken. So a fantastic piece of equipment, very much in line with what we do as Goju practitioners. And the more Kongoken you do and the more you can get onto the ground and roll with it, the better. And that usually works better with two people. And we have a whole series of rolling drills with the Kongoken, which we got from Sensei Teruo Chinen. And when the mats are down, it's a great exercise, great way to train. Okay, so some people have asked about the Kongoken. We have several. They do get used. They don't gather that much dust. When we are down onto the wooden floor, obviously the Kongokens stay on the hooks a little bit longer. But as soon as we've got our tatami down, our mat down, so we're not damaging the floor, then the Kongoken come out. Okay, sledgehammers. I have them in various sizes, and they're a throwback to when I was doing a fitness class in the dojo for people not really interested in karate, but interested in getting fit. Starting off with very, very small heads. This head is approximately 4 pounds, and going up to my heaviest sledgehammer at the moment in our dojo is 16 pound. And we would use them very similar to a chishi. Obviously, the longer the handle, the more torque that is generated through the body. So a lot of the time, you could actually do chishi drills with the sledgehammer, and it works fantastic because the torque is rather immense. But we also replicate the run-of-the-mill kind of menial labor kind of tasks that will be done for long periods of time with sledgehammer. So typically in our repertoire, we would have exercises like chopping wood, where we would exercise full range of motion from the top all the way down 45 degrees, pull it out, drop as if you were cutting a big wedge into the tree, and up, down, up, and across. And we'd repeat this exercise over and over. So this would be one of our exercises. Obviously, the classical pole hit. You can do it from the side, up, round, and stop. Up, round, and stop. And obviously, the symmetry of being able to do it with both sides, both hands. Something that we call shoveling coal, something from my childhood where my father would require me to collect anthracite to load into our old Becker's heater that would heat our house. And you would take a big spade and go into the coal bunker and haul out the anthracite and dump it into a scuttle. So the idea, also similar to somebody throwing coal into the firebox on a locomotive. So it's dropping, scooping, up, and throwing. Dropping and scooping and up, and throwing. And again, repeating on both sides. One of the most difficult exercises for endurance that we found over time was paddling. Using the sledgehammer as a paddle, reaching out and pulling in, reaching out and pulling in. And we created different ways of doing it that made it more and more of a load. So standing up or sitting down on the knees would be great. But one of our best exercises was kind of standing and then reaching out, pulling in and up, in and up. So we're building in a long lunge into the exercise. So when people ask what are the sledgehammers for, anybody who spent time in my boot camps will know that the sledgehammers became quite they were up there as being some of the harder exercises that we would do in our repertoire as we were training. And then obviously we used to have some tires outside and everybody would practice hitting tires. So tire work and hammering work, fundamental to developing power as well as striking power. Excellent for the development of power for Kobudo as well. Good old-fashioned sledgehammer. Another piece of unorthodox karate equipment. The classical karate training equipment we find in most Goju dojos, I think most people might not understand their origin and the reason why they were chosen. I don't think that the senseis in the 1920s and that were getting the best, most expensive equipment. I think a lot of karate instructors were poor. If we look at historical accounts, if they had money, well, there was limitations to what they could do. They wanted to find stuff that was readily available, reasonably cheap, reasonably durable, and would produce a sizable outcome. And if we take that logic and we apply it, today, for instance, typically if you wanted to have an ishisashi made, purpose-made for you, it's quite an expensive process because it's not a readily available piece of equipment that you could go out to the local building store and buy a stone padlock. It's not really, you'd have to have it specifically made, which means you're paying a craftsman a fair amount of money, or you're buying a kettlebell. The skateboard fits in with the logic of something that's readily available, that is affordable, that is cheap, that at some point every parent has to buy their kid's skateboard. So we use these for movement education. Kids aged 3, 4, and 5 quite a lot. They do a lot of pulling and pushing exercises with the skateboard. My boot campers hated the skateboards because this is the most killer workout you can find. All right, so standing on the skateboard, drop lunges, that nice frictionless plane, and suddenly that leg loads that much easier. Obviously, we can use it for, I think we'll go this way, we can use it for splitting. So we can go half split and open. I'm just going to move the camera a bit. We can do half split and gradually split and open. You can use it for stretching. Pushing out, obviously, and then also on the forearm to develop the core, the forearm, again to develop the core. So we have a series of exercises like that we could do. The old-fashioned roller wheel out, and back. Out, and back. So the chicken. Vector testing is a very, very integral part of what we do with our children. And what it is it's about trying to get children and beginners and even intermediate students to develop the ability to focus. So the rules are, please don't laugh, please don't smile, please don't giggle, please don't move. You're a statue. We call it the statue game. And part of the game, one of the facets, is the chicken. The chicken rule is you're not allowed to look at the chicken. And if you Google and look at videos of vector testing, you will see that some adults really do struggle with the chicken. I have some black belts who sadly are still not able to keep their composure when the chicken is stuck in their face. And all you do is you try and get the children to focus on an item, the wall, a mark on the wall, a dot on the mirror, and you pass the chicken across their face. Should their eyes, hopefully you can see this, start looking at the chicken, we have a problem. The more a person can focus and the chicken can be passed in front of them and it doesn't really affect them, and if the sound doesn't affect them, then we're starting to improve their ability to focus. It's fantastic for developing concentration. It's fantastic for helping people find the ability to focus. This is also very important with children who are gifted. I'm going to put it out there, I'm different to everybody else. I have a lot of people coming in and saying my child has a problem. The problem is they have ADD or ADHD or ADHD, whatever the lettering is. I am one of those. I can't concentrate for diddly. My saving grace in life was my karate training, and along the way, minus the chicken, I learned to hyper-focus, so that when I work on something and I'm absolutely focused on it, I cannot have any other disruptions. ADHD kids, this is the magic, this thing here. If we can teach them to focus those few minutes, those few seconds, and we can build it, then we can transfer it to their karate. By the time they finish a period of training for a couple of years, they then have the ability to focus. And what is their greatest dilemma? It is the inability to stay on track, to stay focused, and to complete tasks. So this will be a benefit when those children are at school and when those children are struggling to maintain a focal point in the class on the work. Often they are distracted by other things. So this is a fantastic way for us to help develop children, especially children who are gifted with ADHD and ADD, because it's not a disability, it's a gift. You have to learn how to use it, and unfortunately the schooling system, as a former school teacher, the schooling system doesn't work for people with this particular gift set. However, if you can find the focus, you can achieve anything. You're also probably the most critical, lateral thinker and problem solver out there, because you're never thinking in the normal parameters, you're always thinking outside of the box. And that is a critical life skill, because it helps us solve problems. So, in terms of today's dojo tour, thank you to Terry Sensei in the United States for asking for a dojo tour. I hope it covered a few of the things that you required. You did ask me to show off some of the equipment. I have touched on a few items that sometimes pop up in comments, people noticing that we have Kongokens. So we do have a series of Kongokens. We'll probably do a video, a more extensive video on Kongokens. Sledgehammers, skateboards. I'm asked quite frequently, what are the skateboards doing in the dojo? It's not the toy storage facility. And then for everybody out there who wonders why I am continuously doing the chicken game and the statue game in my dojo, a short explanation on that. Hope you enjoyed it. Have an awesome weekend, and we will see you next week with some more karate. Arigato gozaimasu. Sayonara. I don't think it recorded. If it did, maybe it stopped. Oh well.